So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's great to be with you. Everyone who's joining on Facebook, everyone who's on Zoom. We are going to begin our service by singing Alana Arian's Hine Ma Tov, how great it is for all of us to be together on this day. Hine Ma Tov. The lighting of our Shabbat candles, beginning this sacred day of rest with light and radiance. And I want to call upon Bonnie Leopold to lead us in this prayer.
Now I'm unmuted. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with your commandments and has commanded us to kindle the Sabbath light.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Between your sound healing this morning and leading us, you certainly have brought such spiritual healing and love into our Friday. So thank you so much.
That will help. You're not trying to, pick fights in that moment.
I invite everyone to mute yourselves if you're able to do so, just to make it easier for everyone to be able to hear. And we lift our glasses filled with wine or grape juice, any fruit of the vine, as we also begin our Sabbath with joy. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikohanim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. And as we turn to our blessings and our songs of Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming in this holy day, I invite you also to turn to one another and offer words of greetings, words of Shabbat Shalom to new friends and to friends that you've had a long time. We sing Bim Bam. Bim Bam, Bim 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 Bam, Bim 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 Bam. Bim Bam, Bim 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 Bam, Bim 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 Bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Candles burn in the window on this Friday night. Listen close and look within. Be part of our life. We're singing together joyfully, passing love along. Shabbat keeps our family. Week by week we're going strong. Chazak, chazak, v'ni chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'ni chazek. Be strong, and we will be strengthened. Chazak, chazak, v'ni chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'ni chazek. And of course, we welcome in the Sabbath bride, ending our Kabbalat Shabbat part of our service as we get ready to enter the heart of our prayers. Lecha dodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat, nekabla. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we turn to our call to worship. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai. Shabbat, we have this holy and sacred time. As the sun begins to go down, which it might not be starting quite yet, but it's getting there, there is this idea that at this time of twilight, at this time of dawn, at this time of changing between day and night, it is really a sacred time, a time for reflection, a time for connection. And that is in part what we get to do together here as a community. So together we sing Roll into Dark. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. We'll pray on the Laila, we'll Lord mipnei choshech. Lord mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. The central message of the Torah is love, eternal love, all-encompassing love, love of family, love of friends. And as the Torah states 36 times, love of the stranger. As God loves us, so may we learn to love every individual we meet, even when we disagree, even when we do not understand, even when we find it challenging. There is no more important obligation than seeing the divine in the face of the stranger. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, God, who loves your people Israel. And as we turn to the Shema prayer, I invite you to join with me in singing the words or signing the words. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. This weekend, of course, is a really important weekend because we will be celebrating the 4th of July. And I wrote something that was hiding under my second computer. It all began with a dream and a vision, that we could live in freedom, a nation that we could govern based on our ideals and the values that we hold most dear. Our ancestors began their journey thousands of years ago, unsure they would prevail. But when they did, they sang the words of Mi Chamocha, who is like you, O God, on the shores of the sea. This weekend, we too may line up among the shores of the sea to celebrate a different founding, a founding of our country, the United States of America, a land built on equality, freedom, and self-government, a land which acknowledges that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 245 years in, we may not have realized fully that dream, but our patriotism inspires us to work towards its goals. This Shabbat, we celebrate how blessed we are to not only count ourselves among the Jewish people, but to live in America as well. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Mi chamocha, v'helim Adonai. Mi chamocha, nedar b'kodesh, norati lo tosef eleh. Malechutcha, rahu vanecha, bokeh hayam, lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haparei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ba'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Can you hear me right now? Okay. We sing together the words of Vishamru celebrating Shabbat. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. La'asot et Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. I invite everyone to rise in body or spirit as we turn to the words of the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agir tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasei avot v'imahot, U'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, L'man shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechage hakol atarav lo shia, morid hatahal, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechage hakol berachamim rabim, zomech noklim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umechayim emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot umidom elav, melech mimi to mechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman hata lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yalalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Melech Adon shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarim et Amcha Yisrael b'chol leit u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. So today, as we know, is the first Friday of the month. And what that means on this first Friday is that we tell a story because it's family Shabbat. And by family Shabbat, we don't mean families with young kids. We mean everyone in our Jewish family, from the smallest kid to people who are wise from their experiences. Put this guitar out of the way. There we go. So every single person in our community is included. And part of the reason we tell stories is because the stories that we tell are so quintessential to our Jewish experience that we can even say that stories are in part what makes us human. And so tonight I'd like to share with you a story that is one of my favorites and I think really can speak to experience that we've had, especially from this past year. So it is a story about a man who reached the end of his life. And as we know in Jewish teachings, there's, of course, good deeds that we can do, and there's also chet, sins, times that we miss the mark. And it's said that at the end of our days, there is a scale, and that based on our deeds, based on what we do, we either fall on the side that goes to heaven or we fall on the side that goes to some sort of an idea of hell. And so here was a man who at the end of his life fell perfectly in the middle. He was completely balanced in his scale. And so everyone is debating, what do we do? Where does he go? He didn't deserve to go to heaven, but he also doesn't deserve to go to hell. And so what is it that they decide? They decide to let him take a tour of both and to determine where it is that he wishes to go. So the first place that he goes is hell. And he is taken on this trip to this really beautiful mansion that's in this idyllic environment, this environment of greenery and beautiful trees, something that absolutely can take your breath away. And he sees this environment and says, wow, this is such a great place to be. He goes inside and there is a great room filled with the most delicious treats, the most delicious food that you could ever possibly imagine. And there's so much of it piled on top of each other, so much for an absolutely phenomenal feast. And then he sees the people walk into the room, except there's something that's strange about the people, which is they're unable to bend their arms. They can only stand with their arms out like this. And so he notices that all of the people who are walking into the room, they're really skinny. They're really emaciated. They look like they haven't eaten, that they're starving. And yet here is this most delicious meal. So he watches them. He watches them put out their arms and try to take the food and put it in their own mouths, and they're unable to do so when they're starving looking at this food. And he feels their emotion. He feels their just absolute anguish at what's going on before them. And he begs to leave. The next place he goes to is heaven. And to his surprise and amazement, it looks exactly the same. The same beautiful mansion, the same lush greenery, the same everything. And he walks into the great room, and there is a feast on the table, and it is one of the most wonderful feasts you can ever imagine. And then the people walk in, and he notices that they're happy, they're singing, they look taken care of. But when he looks closer, he notices that they, like the people in hell, also are unable to bend their arms. Their arms are out like this. And so he wonders, what happens? What's the difference between the two? How are they so happy when the other people were so sad? And he watches as the people around the table don't try to feed themselves, but rather they feed one another. They take care of one another. And so in so doing, they not only nourish their souls, but they nourish their fellow human beings. The only difference between heaven and hell is a community willing to truly look after one another. This is a message I know we can all relate to because we've lived it over the past 16 months. The ways in which we've worn masks in order to protect people who either couldn't get vaccinated or before vaccinations were even around. The way in which we have created social distancing, even when we've wanted to go to one another's houses and give one another huge hugs, and even now. The way in which we've gotten vaccines, if we've been able to do so, to not only protect ourselves, but to protect our fellow human beings. The way in which we've called one another and visited one another and brought food and grocery, all sorts of things to look after our fellow human being. We have taken a situation that is so challenging and we've made it better by being there for one another. Well, we know that this weekend, we get to celebrate our country. We get to celebrate how much we've been through and how far we've come over these past 16 months. And there's something else I hope we will celebrate as well. I hope that we will celebrate our continued commitment to one another. I hope that we will do everything that we can to try to live for the values that our country is based on. The values of equality, the values of freedom, the values of dignity and respect for every single human being. Because that is truly how we show our patriotism. That is truly how we show our love for one another and community. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be something we continue, and may this be God's will. We turn now to the Mishaberach prayer, a prayer of healing for people in our hearts and people in our community. And I invite you now to write in the chat the names of anyone for whom you'd like to offer our Mishaberach prayer. Ruth Rubenstein, Janice Torres, Judah Rosen, Adam Summerstein, Linda Zweig, Heidi Davidson, Mark Newman, Michelle Sugarman, Meryl Carter-Prop, Marilyn Ponsegi, Howard Reese, Susan Reese, Lois Jackman, Francine Wixon, Sam Morris, Marty Spiegel, David Bernstein, Ken and Sandy Picard, Miss Levy, Susan Brooks, Shirley Harrison, Sandy and Ken Picard, Donnie Platts, Erwin Scher, Rebecca Rothstein, Melissa Polk, Jennifer Hamburg-Grofsky, Angie Harrison, and so many other people who we are holding in our hearts. People who are mourning after the loss of loved ones, after the horrific building collapse in Florida. Victoria Torrey, Jax and Robert Pete Moss, Wendy Lopol, and Leslie Fells Wegner, all in our hearts. So we hold everyone who's in need of healing of mind, healing of body, and healing of spirit, as we offer the words of the Mishaberach prayer. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Lehimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say Amen. We also take time to remember the people who have died in recent days and recent weeks. Nissan Adef, Patricia Ceramic, Morton Goldberg, and Nadine Carol Wilkerson. We also remember all those whose yahrzeit it is this week. Robert Abrams, Lee Berry, Beatrice Brown, Gertrude Brown, Herbert Brown, Celia Cohen, Shepard Cohen, Anna Davidow, Irving Mitchell Demoff, Selma Gerber, Dora Goldstein, Abraham Green, Marcus Greenberg, Sylvan Hennell, David Stephen Hillman, Jacob Hodes, Dwayne Johnson, Patricia Kapner, Nathan Kassick, Sylvan Land, Sylvia Lench, Conrad Lennon, Henry Levine, Morris Lipman, Gail Livingston, Anna Miller, Samuel Podville, Albert Priegel, Nancy Dara Rhodes, Daniel Stephen Shannon, Jack Sloves, Howard Snyder, Rebecca Sawyer, Lillian Eckler Watson, Gerard Wecker, Murray Weinstein, Jack Zarin, Bernice Zeed, and Nitty Zimmerman. We remember all of them, and we remember Paula Rubin and Bambi Yvonne and Lizette Wilczyk. And for everyone else on our hearts, let us together offer the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'amad divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yom echon, v'chayei d'kol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivrach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yanaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiram v'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yasei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be a blessing. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yasei shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Vehimru, vehimru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yasei shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. So I want to thank you so much for being here, for being present with one another for our service. I want to thank Gail Schwartz, who is our greeter this evening for our service, and also to Linda Herman, who is going to offer some announcements on behalf of the board of directors. Linda? You're muted, Linda. We can't hear you yet.
Thank
There we
you.
go.
My apologies. Okay. I just had a sneezing jag, so I hope I can get through this. Starting all over again, Shabbat Shalom. It is truly my pleasure to be here tonight representing the board of directors. And I'd just like to share a few of the upcoming programs with you. If you haven't done so already, please sign up for the Honey from the Heart fundraiser benefiting our Torah school. It's a wonderful program where you can send a jar of kosher honey to a family and your friends before the high holy days. Remember to place your order before July 7th because you get free shipping. So that's one reason to do it ahead of time. And also join Rabbi Cassi next Wednesday at 1 p.m. for a virtual coffee talk. Grab your coffee or tea and join us for a midday chat. I also wanted to mention that on Sunday, July 11th at 5 in the afternoon, join us for a special screening of the film Duty Free, inspired by the true story of a 75-year-old immigrant mother who, after being fired from her job, goes on an adventure with her son to help reclaim her life. The film examines ageism, the care crisis, and economic insecurity in America. The program has been generously underwritten, but we are asking for an $18 voluntary donation if you are able. I've seen the film already. It touches my heart because I'm in that age category. But I think for the family in general, it's just a very touching story and certainly meaningful in today's times. And lastly, please mark your calendars for Thursday, July 29th at 7 in the evening for the next Mensch Club event. We're meeting with Jewish vintners from Napa Valley. We will hear from Judd Finkelstein of Judd's Hill Winery and other Jewish vintners as they share their personal journeys about how they became winemakers. We will also take a virtual tour of their vineyards and wineries. You'll find the registration links for all of these programs in your Tuesday news email. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Linda. And the other thing I just want to mention is our next 4 services. So the next 4 services in July that we'll have will all be multi-access, meaning you can go to the temple or you can join via Zoom. And I hope that whatever feels most comfortable to you, you'll be able to do. And I look forward to being able to worship with you. And we are going to go into our breakout rooms momentarily. So whether you've gotten a chance to eat dinner or not, if you grab a snack, grab whatever it is, or just come without food, and we're going to all just be together socializing momentarily. Whoops. Oh, right. I have 2 computers going. That's the problem.